Hi, this is Len Branswitz from the Ask the Pharmacist Group, and I thank you for listening today. We're going to talk about brain chemistry. I'm going to try to give you a little lesson in what those brain chemicals are all about. I think it's going to be important to understand what neurotransmitters are, what these brain chemicals are, and understand where they come from and how the body utilizes them and what they do with them. If we understand that the human nervous system is one of the most complex systems in our body, so when somebody says, my brain chemicals are off, do you ever have that? Can't sleep, I'm a little nervous, I'm a little out of sorts, my muscles are twitching. There's over 100 billion different neurons in our body. These are nerve endings that store these neurotransmitters. So let's look at it like this. The body has these extension cords that are coming out of the brain, for lack of another term. Extension cords. Let's say that there's 14 different types. We have red ones, and we have white ones, and we have yellow ones, and we have blue ones. All these extension cords coming out of the body, out of the brain, that go to various connective points in the body. So let's take an example. I want to blink my eye. The body then makes a concerted decision in the brain. It's going to send a signal out using a stimulatory pathway. We'll say that that's a blue extension cord that is directly linked to the eye. It causes the eye to blink down. Now, simultaneously, we have a red extension cord that goes to that same body function. That's going to tell that same body part, in this case your eye, to relax now. So we bring the eyelid down, we bring the eyelid back up. Every single aspect of what our body does, from the moment we wake up to the moment we go to bed and while we're sleeping, requires these brain chemicals, these neurotransmitters, to be utilized and stored. So now we've got that example that has various extension cords coming out of the brain. So what about these brain chemicals? What are they? Neurotransmitters, they're called. They are stored in the endings of each and every one of these extension cords. So if we say that there's a 10-foot extension cord that runs from the brain to your eye, it's not really a 10-foot extension cord, it's 10 one-foot little pieces. So you have these small segments. That's the way we were created, these small segments in the neurotransmitter system. Inside of those, at the end of every single one of those, there's a gap. So you have two pieces that come together, but there's a gap. So for the brain to communicate from point A to point B, something has to fill that gap to build a little bridge. That's where your brain chemicals come in. They are stored in the little ending called a neuron. They're stored there so that upon stimulation as it comes down, it builds a little bridge, the stimulation goes on. It makes its way back to the various body parts. As that occurs, the brain then coordinates a signal that goes out to stimulate. So when we talk about brain chemistry, we talk about these brain chemicals that many of us say are off kilter. What are they? Well, we actually have 14 different types. 14 different types of brain chemicals. 7 of them are stimulatory, 7 of them are inhibitory. So we call them stimulatory and inhibitory neurotransmitters. And they are produced by the body and stored in these little nerve endings. So again, as I said earlier, we have all these different extension cords. For our analogy, they are blue ones and red ones and yellow ones. There's a certain percentage of them, 50%, which are stimulatory, 50% of them are inhibitory. And how they are kept in balance is how well the brain can communicate with the body. So what are these neurotransmitters? What are they? Let's look at various parts of those. The one that's probably the most widely recognized is one called serotonin. The drug industry has seen that as the one that was probably the earliest in recognition, serotonin. It's the one for which they created all of the major antidepressants called SSRIs. SSRIs that are serotonin reuptake inhibitors. In other words, we go back to that analogy of that nerve ending. Here comes the stimulation from the brain. We build a bridge with serotonin, and it keeps going on. After that serotonin leaves and it's on its way out of the body, the drug is out there to capture it and send it back into that neuron. So it's a logical approach. Serotonin happens to be one of the 14. It's an inhibitory neurotransmitter. The brain will continually utilize this for inhibition. So it's in our body to inhibit what? Anxiety, depression, mood swings. For women that are menopausal, it's one of those neurotransmitters that can be off kilter and cause us to even have things like headaches. So serotonin, one of those neurotransmitters that can become so crucial. Now, let's understand, where do they come from? In essence, if the body is utilizing these continually, where do they come from? How do you produce these things? Well, first of all, we got to realize that every one of those neurotransmitters, all 14 different types, are amino acids. That means that they come from the protein that we consume. What's the problem? A lot of times when we're off kilter, we don't have brain chemistry 101. We don't have them in complete balance. Too much stimulatory, not enough inhibitory. Or conversely, not enough stimulatory, too much inhibitory. In that case, I'm drowsy all the time. Conversely, I'm excited. I get anxiety all the time. Where is it coming from? Again, the protein that we consume. What do most of us not consume enough of? Protein. It is one of those essential nutrients for which, if we're not consuming enough in the human body, we will be depleted on the number of neurotransmitter chemicals that we can produce. And body-wide, we run into deficits if we're not consuming enough protein. How do we know how much? In a future talk, we'll talk specifically about diet and how that plays a crucial role, how digestion plays a crucial role here. But just in general terms, if you're looking at a recipe for the amount of protein that we do need to consume, roughly for the average male in their middle-age times, anywhere from 40 to 60 grams a day. For a woman, somewhere in that same range, 40 to 60 grams a day. How much is that? If we use the analogy of a deck of cards, we all know what a deck of cards is for a size-wise. That much in meat would be about 10 grams of protein. So we're looking at somewhere between 4 and 6 decks of cards a day. If you're not consuming that amount, you are going to be depleted on your neurotransmitter production. You're going to have them out there, they're going to be utilized, they're going to fall through the cracks, we're going to deplete them, and we're going to run into difficult times. You may see it early on as a little bit of anxiety, a little bit of weepiness, a little bit of anxiety, an inability to sleep. Hot flashes get worse. So yes, protein becomes a very, very crucial part of the total number of neurotransmitters that need to be made in the human body. So if we're discussing today as this class, Neurotransmitters 101, what's the first step? We have to look at your diet from a clinical nutrition standpoint, which is where our specialty is. We are board certified in clinical nutrition. When we do look at that, we have to take a look at your diet. Now, we'll do that in an upcoming piece of this. We'll do another little tape here in just a little while. But for the sake of discussion right now, we remember brain chemistry, neurotransmitters 101. The amount of protein that we consume, how well we digest it, and then how well we can assimilate that. Now, we'll continue this discussion in a little while, but for right now, I just want to encourage you. You can find out more information by going to our website, www.lenandjoe.com, or you can reach us off air at 877-275-7743. And again, the website, lenandjoe.com. We'll see you in a future talk.